Hi there. This is Rick Moody and Margaret Rux from Lafayette, Louisiana, and we are doing a segment on talking to you guys about um, um, fighting pornography in your community and how you're able to fight pornography with with help of the community, and just your heart and your passion can do a lot. So, Margaret, why don't you tell us about what you do in our community here in Lafayette and how you got started with fighting pornography.
Sure, Rick. My name is Margaret Rux. As Rick said, I'm managing director of the Rux Family Foundation here in Lafayette, Louisiana. It was founded by Billy and Kathy Rux. And basically, we started to discuss how we could hit an unmet need in our community, something that our citizens were very much impacted by, and how we could really make a difference. And I think, Rick, as you know, we began to research that, and I was found the information about the harms of pornography, the brain science behind its addictive effects, um, and the severe ramifications that were impacting so many million people, most compelling and riveting. And we said we've got to do something.
That's right. So, in your current position, Margaret, you're able to, with the help of your family and the board, put a group of team members around the community to help fight this need in our community. So let the audience know more about who you brought in and for what two events we did the first time.
All right, all right. Well, what we were inspired to do, based on the information that we had received and discovered, was to hold a conference, to hold an adult-oriented conference here. And the first thing I did was assemble 12 men within our community, a lot of business professionals, and we got young business professionals. As you know, Rick, I listed your services,
Yeah,
and
yeah. You tracked me down,
yes,
Margaret.
I
You tracked
did.
me down.
I knew who to select.
Margaret's son and I are good friends. So she came to me and we had lunch one time, and she told me about her passion and her heart, and I was on board from that moment on. We had I don't know met 4 or 5 times with the board, and Margaret did a great job of selecting um, people who were inspired of this topic, whether it touched them personally or indirectly, and then who had the resources to plug into the community. So she was very strategic about it, and so she brought me in to kind of add some a youth approach to target the youth because, as you all might know, is that in the youth is where our greatest need is. I think the average age of the first view of pornography is from 8 to 12. So she brought me in amongst other great guys, and we just kind of hit the ground running. Why don't you tell Margaret more about of how we organize the youth rally?
Oh, absolutely. What we did was we realized we first of all it was important just to get this information to a lot of our adults, citizens, our educators, leaders in the community, and so that was the very first thing we did was in hosting. Um, that event, we got Dr. Mary Ann Layden of Pennsylvania, of the director of the psychiatric division there at the university, and a wonderful lady, very well versed in um, the harms of pornography as she treats so many people. We got Dr. Peter Klopanis, and we also got the Kingsmen from Pennsylvania. And so then we had a wonderful group of clergy there, law enforcement, educators, leaders, and citizens, and that went very well. And then the youth rally was something that, remember, we had trouble naming it. What do we do? Do we just call it what it is, porn, just say it, or
Right,
are we going to
right.
scare the kids off?
So like an event like this, you want to have a creative name, and you're marketing it yourself. So you try to get people in the door to make it inquisitive but tastefully done. So the board came up after a couple of discussions. The board came up with the idea of having the youth name it. So we plugged into a couple high schools and we gave like a prize maybe to a restaurant, local restaurant, of if we use your theme, then you can have the gift card. So we allowed them to name it, and we had a couple finalists. And what was the final?
The Naked
The
Truth.
Naked Truth.
We all just looked at each other, 12 people around the board, and said, well, you know, we met 4 times, couldn't figure this out, and look how poignant this was, a
That's
perfect
right.
one.
That's right. So, and then meanwhile, in those discussions, we talked about bringing a keynote speaker for the youth rally that the youth would relate with. That's a kind of a superhero in their eyes, and we thought we threw out a couple names, and we went to a local in-state ex-Saint football player. His name's Heath Evans, and so he kind of had that superhero approach, but also most importantly that his life was affected by just the effects of pornography and things of that nature. So we got Heath in, very inspiring guy, did a great job, and I think for me the keynote, the key point that what we did well with the youth rally was bringing in people that cared in the community, whether it's through my friends or Margaret's friends or some of the board members' friends. We just brought in people that had the correct skill, but also that cared, that had a heart for it, and that was it was a very impressive couple meetings. So so you want to talk about the day conference a little bit?
Well, we were just basically what we would love to share is that I believe we were the most surprised and astounded
Mhm.
to see the turnout. We had well over 200 people pack that room, were as interested as they could be to obtain this information, and it was no accident. It's because it has impacted so many people and ravished and train wrecked so many lives that they wanted to get this information and go back in the community to make a difference. And that is when we knew we struck a chord.
Yeah.
And they were saying, when are you going to do this again? Are you going to have a conference every year? And we promised them that we would be in this fight as long as we needed. And we asked ourselves the question, then what are we going to do from here? What are we going to do? And that's when, as Rick said, we knew we wanted to get this message to the youth in a big way, to really equip them and give them the tools that they need, so that when invariably and inevitably these distributors of hardcore porn who want to make our children of Acadiana their very next clients, we're going to give them everything that they need to know to avoid this in their lives and what to do about it and how serious it is to them and to their families and to their friends. And so we have set out on a real course. Tell
Yeah.
them a little bit about the
Yeah,
next.
sure. So when we definitely learned a lot of things from our first events in the youth rally and the day conference, and we learned that it's very difficult to market. It's very difficult to market in general, but especially with this topic. But if you get passionate people, they'll sell for you. So what we learned is to go to the kids. Why don't we just go to the kids? So we tried to crack into the school system here locally. We brought a group called Fight the New Drug, which some of you might be prefaced to. Younger generation, but also just deliver an outstanding message, very well trained in the facts and how they present the message to teens. So Cam and Clay are the two guys who we brought in, and Margaret was able to talk to the school board here locally um, to allow us to present those presentations at the schools. So the kids would come in the gymnasiums, and it would be all set and primed for them, so they'd be open ears. Uh,
Absolutely. In fact, listen, our enthusiasm and this momentum generated interest from 2 other foundations. Both the Pinhook and Stellar Foundation joined the Moody and Rux Family Foundation in this effort. And we went, when we went, like Rick said, we went to the school board, and when we presented this to them, they said, we want in. We've already seen the evidence of this among the kids at school. We know it's indeed a problem, and it's easier for you all to bring in somebody who's equipped to talk about it
mm-hmm.
than they were, who didn't necessarily feel at ease. And remember, when they came in to the school setting, they do it in such a professional manner and such a youthful approach that really resonates with the kids, that it puts everybody at ease. The principals at ease. They don't know how everyone's going to react, but they know it's a necessity. They want to get the information out, and they have an overwhelming response of being very pleased with the presentation. In fact, it's taken off so well now that we're getting calls. When are they coming back? When are we going
Mhm.
to do it? And we're planning to have them in next week, right,
Yeah, they're
Rick?
coming in. They're coming in. A couple points, and share some stories with you guys on what has happened. You know, you go in and it's almost after a couple of the sessions that they do, it's almost humorous to a point to where everybody's on pins and needles, and then whenever after the first 10 or 15 minutes, they kind of calm your nerves and go into the facts, and towards the end, the kids are running up to sign this banner to help become a fighter, to stop against the harmful effects of pornography. So it's very interesting. I recall from all the way to its origins of what we're doing in our region here, from the youth rally to the day conference to the school assemblies. Once the topic and pornography is kind of this white elephant in the room. Once it's surfaced and we're talking about it, it's amazing the people and the stories that come out that just want to talk, that just want to express. I mean, I had a guy come up to me, one of the teachers come up to me after the youth rally and talk about one of his old bosses and how it created tension for him in his job, and he just wanted to talk about it. He was indirectly affected, but you hear these stories all the time, and the kids are just elated to be able to have somebody fight for them, and the truth in how effective and detrimental pornography is in their hearts is surfaced. The truth is surfaced. So I think that's it makes it all worth it. Whenever you see that. But Margaret did an excellent job of finding the right tools and the right way to attack. And I think the biggest point to that in your community is if you get passionate people and that you have a good force of people too, because if this isn't your full-time job, then it could wear you out pretty quickly. So get some support, get some inspiration in there. Plug into your community. Just ask. It doesn't hurt to ask, and um, you have inspiration and passion behind you. You can turn some hearts. So why don't you tell Margaret about what we're doing with Fight the New Drug that's coming in next week,
Well,
actually.
it's very, very exciting. They're excited to come back. They love Louisiana. They love our food here too, which we definitely introduce them to. And we're excited. We've got an entire week booked with school assemblies, one after the other. In fact, we have a parents' night as well in the middle of the week so that we can bring the parents in, let them be educated on this subject. The whole key is education, and the whole key is talking about this among families in the communities because it's impacting everybody. Why should we be bullied to think we can't talk about this when people are dramatically affected? So now the kids are relieved because it's being open, it's exposed to the light, and of course we know it loses the power in the light. So the kids, we've got a parents' night, so they'll get all of the information they need and go home and commence with a dialogue, a comfortable, healthy dialogue with their own children in the comfort of their own home, and also to know and have the tools to equip their kids um, on with filter systems and how to really um, aid them with what they need to do, not only in discussing things with their kids openly, but um, as I said, to arm their homes in a manner that they need to, not to be so infiltrated with this problem. And there's some wonderful filter systems out there and a lot of accountability programs that the parents will learn about. And we have another night too on the college campus, our local UL campus, where they're going to talk to the college kids. So we've got a very full and exciting week ahead. And again in March, they're going to come back. We've got them coming in March, and we're going to hit a younger audience where we need to, because we hear stories all the time that the younger and younger are the children that are experience their first exposure to pornography. So we'll be bringing them back and booking middle schools in March, and both public and private. And look so forward. And Rick is so right. Everybody wants to make a difference. We have such a limited time, each of us, and in our lives, we want to make a difference. How can we really impact others and help this culture and especially to preserve the innocence of our youth that deserve that preservation and not exploitation. And that's what I think drives us here, is that we look at the youth in our area and they deserve a healthy, normal, holy, and good upbringing in childhood, and they don't deserve to be saturated with illicit images that directly and dramatically impact them in developmental stages
Mm-hmm.
of their life and
Mm-hmm.
their formation and how they view what should be the beauty and complementarity of the sexes and not see the opposite sex as something that is, you know, an object of their sexual gratification, and the desire to have, you know, experiment and have, you know, the early sexualization of our youth, which should never be.
Right, right. Which is such a counterpart of our culture.
Exactly.
So it's very difficult talking about it. But no doubt, the biggest thing that we can portray is to talk. Is to talk about the issue, relay it. Um, speak about how it's affected your life or others' lives, and bring pornography to light. Once you talk and research more and you're become more educated on the issue, then it's amazing how people work. It's amazing how people step up and want to help and it's just it catches on in the community. Margaret has done great work and has helped spark the fire with so many people um, here, but it's because of a person and a vision and a dream, and if you talk about it, educate others about it, raise awareness. You do little things, do little things like go to your local library and then talk to them about putting up, Covenant Eyes or some kind of internet protection, and just spread the truth and spread what's right, what's morally right, is what we found to be kind of the catalyst of how it's affected our community, how this positive effort to to attack pornography has really taken off in our community. So, um, Margaret, do you have any words of advice to help encourage?
Well,
Just kind of a
one thing I'd like to say is Rick's given me a lot of credit, but the truth is I can tell you I could never have done it without he and his wonderful sister with the Moody Company Foundation and our other local foundations and all these volunteers. As you know, this is a group effort. No one's out there fighting this alone. But the most important information, the greatest research and peer-reviewed information and research out there, I really learned from Porn Harms and what Morality in Media has done. And I cannot applaud them, Pat Truman, Dawn Hawkins, and that whole team more for the work they do in the day in and day out battle and the vigilance that it's taken and their perseverance and tenacity with this whole thing, because they indeed embolden us here on a local level to continue our perseverance for what they do and this information. And really the key is making yourself aware. Get the information and the education out there. This is, and you can, once you learn, you will be passionate, trust me, about
yeah.
disseminating it to others, because you know that this is not a Catholic problem, it's not a Baptist problem, it's not your brother's problem or your neighbor's problem, it's everybody's problem. And it's going to take everybody to fight this battle.
Yeah, it's very, very well said, Margaret. It's certainly a human problem, and we all feel that stirring, that need to want to talk and to be great in a sense, to be great to help fight this issue that's stifling the growth of our teens and young ones, but also adults too, growth of human life. So the resources are out there. Most definitely, and it just takes a willingness. It just takes a willingness, you just be amazed. Just keep yourself open, and you'd be amazed on the progress that could happen in your community. So that's kind of it from our end. We appreciate, Margaret. Do you have any closing words?
I would just say, and all of this with the grace of Almighty God, who wants to purify his children, his community, and also without that we wouldn't have probably made any progress.
Yep, a lot of prayers.
Yeah, a lot of prayers.
Most definitely from the board members and the community as well. So we're just doing His will here. But but truly a blessing to be able to shed light on the effects of pornography. So
And you can do it too.
most definitely, most definitely. But thank you for hosting us on this pornography awareness week for Rap Week, and we appreciate it, and truly honored to be part of the fight.
And join us, will you? Thanks.
Thanks.
Oh, say